Welcome to Employee Module 4 on Evacuations and Sheltering. In Part 1, we will be discussing your process for evacuations. There are 3 objectives in this training. Number 1 is knowing the plan and the priorities. Number 2 is understanding where to go upon evacuating. And number 3 is returning and reunifying procedures. Every employer should have an evacuation plan, but it is up to you to know how to use that plan and also to have a backup plan. This plan not only should show you ways of getting out, but also where to go once you do get out, and waiting for instructions. Good evacuation plans also include a method of informing people to evacuate. Perhaps your workplace is small enough that simply by telling or yelling can start the evacuation process. In large office buildings or in loud spaces like manufacturing centers, evacuation orders can be given out of loudspeaker, a public address system, or even by using the fire alarm, even if there is no fire. In reality, it doesn't matter what you are evacuating for. Your top 3 goals should always be to stay calm, to get out, and to get others out with you. When an order or an alarm goes off to evacuate, it is important that you stay calm so you can think clearly. A good way to stay calm in emergency is by role-playing and training evacuations routinely. Every employer should practice an evacuation drill at least once a year. Yet you should think about how you would evacuate in an emergency more often. This is called role-playing. While your employer may help you prepare by conducting drills and showing you evacuation maps, you must prepare yourself by role-playing your evacuation strategies in your mind or talking things over with coworkers to be prepared as a team. The more you prepare for an emergency, it is proven the better you will respond during one. Getting out during a real evacuation may be as simple as using the closest door to you. While this may sound easy enough, realize that you may have to evacuate in an area filled with smoke, flames, toxic odors, or even gunfire. Don't ever assume that the exit you may know and see on a daily basis will always be available to you. So have a backup plan. That is why you should know as many exit points as possible in your workplace. Exits can become blocked by fire, debris, or even people. By knowing your building's floor plan and being familiar with all the exit options, you will most likely result in a much smoother and successful way out. Moving quickly and calmly during an evacuation is not only going to help you, but will also help others. Coworkers and customers will be counting on you to help get them out safely. They will follow your lead, so if you are panicking, they too will panic. Creating panic can lead to a mad rush to an exit that becomes a choke point for the evacuation. It could also lead to people moving in the wrong direction and towards the emergency, and it often causes people to fall and be injured. You need to be a strong leader in emergencies that require evacuations so that you can get as many people out as possible and to safety. Realize that not everyone is going to be able to move quickly. Some people, due to age, disability, confusion, fear, or injury, may need guidance or even physical assistance in getting out. In cases of someone being injured or unconscious, you may need to direct a team of people to drag or carry them out. You could also consider emergency uses of shopping carts, luggage rollers, or even equipment carts to move injured people during an emergency evacuation.
Never try to lift or carry a person on your own, but rather use a fireman's drag to move them to safety. To perform this technique, approach the downed person from the top of their head. Sit them up, using your knee to support their back. Thrust your arms underneath their arms and across their chests. Grip your hands tightly, interlocking your fingers, and then drag them to safety. Unfortunately, due to very dangerous circumstances, you may not have the time or ability to move people who are injured or immobilized. Staying in an unsafe environment in which you could be overcome by smoke, fumes, or be shot will do nobody any good. If you are faced with such a decision, it is important to get out and save yourself. If the building is on fire or extremely dangerous, do not go back inside. You will only put yourself and others in danger if you decide to stay back or re enter a dangerous area. The rule of thumb is if the building is on fire, get out, stay out, and call 911. Once you are safely outside, guide others to your predetermined staging area. If you do not know or have one, get to a safe place away from the building, like to a neighboring business, parking lot, or public street if it is safe to do so. Wait for directions from your manager, the police, or firefighters. Do not leave the scene, as you may need to help with people evacuating, give information to the first responders, or even help start accounting for people who were inside. Plus, if you leave the scene, people may think you are still inside, and it places the rescue workers at risk trying to find you.
When an all clear is given, you should assist people getting back inside and remember to stay calm in doing so. Some people may not understand why they had to evacuate or feel scared in going back inside. Remind people that it is now safe, be pleasant, and be patient. Most evacuations are short lived and things should be able to return to normal in a very short amount of time. Follow directions of what to say and do from your management team so that everyone is on the same page and people feel safe. There may be some form of roll call to make sure everyone is accounted for. In larger settings, this may be done by managers just checking to make sure that their group of employees have returned safely. If you notice someone is missing after the evacuation, contact your manager immediately. Do not leave and try to find them unless you are told to do so. Leaving an area may only cause more confusion as to who is accounted for and who isn't. Once you are back inside, it is important to look around for any potential hazards. Weather or fire-related evacuations may cause debris, exposed wiring, and standing water. There could also be broken glass, biohazards, and sharp objects left over from the event. If you see a hazard, be sure to report it. Do not try to lift, remove, shut off, or clean up anything you are unfamiliar with or not trained to handle. Warn others to avoid the area and use objects to block people from going near it until it can be safely dealt with. If there does not appear to be any hazards, return to your work area and, using good observation skills, check for anything missing or out of place. If something is not where it is supposed to be, contact a member of your management team immediately.
Remember that even though your employer may have a plan, it is up to you to know it and know the alternatives. Knowing your evacuation plans, practicing them, and role playing them will keep you calm and ready to deal with exiting during emergencies. Getting out from any safe exit and guiding others to do so is something we are all counting on you to do. Don't ever assume that your closest exit will always be available, and have a backup plan to find alternative routes. Know ways to keep others safe during evacuations and be prepared to assist the injured if needed and if you can do so without endangering yourself. Lastly, once outside, remember the job isn't over and your presence is still needed. You will most likely never have to evacuate during a real life emergency. However, if you do, following the things you've learned in this training module will help save your life and others. Now, let's move on to part two of sheltering. In this area, we're going to talk about two key objectives: knowing when and how to shelter, and leaving a shelter. First, let's talk about knowing when and how to shelter. You may need to seek shelter for a weather related incident, an unknown hazard, or even a disturbance or life threatening situation like an active shooter. As in previous training videos, it is important to know that if you feel your life is at risk, you should always get away from the person or leave the dangerous area. But what if you cannot leave because the exits are blocked or the dangerous person or situation is between you and the exits? Taking shelter is the next best thing. Shelter can come in a wide variety of ways. Your employer might use a warning or a direction from a supervisor to tell you to take shelter. Or you may see or hear or suspect something on your own that causes you to feel the need to shelter from someone or something dangerous. Probably the quickest and easiest shelter to find is a nearby room, preferably one with a lock on it. Hiding in a room can prevent a dangerous person from seeing or harming you. If you do take shelter in a room because of an intruder or dangerous person, the first thing you should do is lock the door. If the door cannot be locked, Look for things you can possibly use to block the door from opening. A 3-ring binder, books, or clothes can be used to jam under the door to make it more difficult to open the door. Furniture, tables, boxes, copiers, and supplies can also be used to barricade a door. Keep in mind that doors swing in and out, and not all doors can be secured or barricaded the same way. That is why we highly recommend that you become familiar with the rooms and doors in your workspace and talk to your employer about the preferred room to shelter in if needed. Once inside a room, there are a few more things you should do. The first is shut off any lights to give the appearance the room is empty to anyone outside. It will also help to silence your phone so that your text tone or ringer does not tip someone off that you are inside. Take cover inside the room by staying low. Hide under a desk or behind supplies or equipment to give you the added protection and decrease your visibility. Do not open the door unless you know it is absolutely safe from danger. Once you have sheltered in a room, call 911. Quietly give the dispatcher the name of your employer and where you are at in the building and what is happening there. If you cannot talk, leave your phone line open so the dispatcher can hear and listen to what is going on around you. Our local dispatchers are trained to recognize silence and background noises as a sign of danger and will always dispatch a police officer to your location. If you are in an open area or do not have access to a room or shelter, look for anything to hide behind or under to try to protect you and hide you from danger. You can hide under a desk or a counter, behind boxes or supplies, vending machines, or even behind signs or displays. If you are outside, you can get behind things like trees, retaining walls, or even cars. If hiding behind a car, try to position yourself so that the car's engine is between you and the danger, especially if there are gunshots going off. Some bullets can easily pass through car doors and glass, but will most likely never be able to pass through a car's engine block. Stay in your sheltered area until you get an all clear sign, or you are told to leave from a trusted source like a police officer, a manager, or a firefighter. If you or someone else is hurt, let somebody else know that right away and call 911. If you are bleeding, place direct pressure on the wound with a bandage, or use an item of clothing or even a towel. If you cannot stop the bleeding, use an item of clothing like a scarf or belt to make a tourniquet. Place the tourniquet on or slightly above the wound. You can use something sturdy like a pair of scissors or a screwdriver, or even a short handle from something like a plunger or duster to use as a tightening device for your tourniquet. Tighten it enough to stop the bleeding and get help immediately. Taking shelter in a dangerous situation can be a very quick and easy thing to do to stay safe. Like you have been told in previous trainings, trust your instincts and take shelter when you do not feel safe and you cannot escape the area. Remaining calm and quiet is an important part of sheltering, but we know it may be not an easy thing to do. Taking deep breaths through your nose, holding it, and exhaling slowly and steadily from your mouth will provide much needed air to your brain and major organs. This is a form of deep breathing and relaxation technique that's important to use when you are under heavy stress. This will help quiet your mind and body so you can focus and help others remain focused as well. In a very rare situation, a dangerous person might be able to find you while you are taking shelter. If you are about to be attacked, even if the dangerous person is armed with a gun or a knife, you may have to fight them off. If you feel someone is about to seriously hurt or kill you, attack the person with all of your might. Yell, scream, and target the person's eyes and throat. You may also need to use anything available to you as a weapon. Larger objects like chairs, fire extinguishers, or even computer keyboards can be used to throw at or strike your attacker. Pointed objects like scissors and even pens and pencils can be used to help stop the attacker by jabbing them at the person's eyes and face. When you succeed in stopping the person, run and get out as fast as you can. Only fight off your attacker as a last resort, such as being cornered and feeling like they will seriously harm or kill you. Every single day, incidents of violence happen all over our world. While we are hopeful that you never have to experience a tragedy, this video is designed to help you keep you safe should one strike. Remember, you're ultimately responsible for your own safety, so knowing when and how to evacuate and to take shelter is something everyone must know.